What's a disturbing secret you've been keeping from your friends and family? My second tour in Iraq, we were in a nasty firefight when I felt something wet hit the side of my face. I knew the guy next to me had been killed, but I was a little too busy to do anything about it. After it was done, the corpseman came running over making sure I was okay, and I thought it was because I was covered in the guy's blood. Turns out one of the guy's eyes was basically dangling on the side of my helmet. One day I woke up after a very manipulating relationship had ended and realized I didn't know how to feel anything but anger. I never really feel happy or sad, let alone cry. I'm never excited for anything. People have died, and I just can't seem to feel anything. I put on a great face, can fake most of my emotions, but deep down I don't really feel anything positive or negative besides anger. The more I type, the more I realize I don't even know how to put it all into words. My friends and family don't use Reddit, so no throwaway necessary. Sometimes, I'm passively suicidal. I'm so tired of being alive, but I don't want to kill myself. 1. I'm afraid of what happens, or doesn't happen, after you die. 2. I don't want to hurt them like that, even if I'm in a lot of pain. 3. There's still some things I want to do, even though I do feel worthless, ugly and exhausted. As you can imagine, I don't really have anyone to talk about it with, and I don't want to worry the people I love. It's a battle sometimes. I can't imagine the future. People ask me what my plans are, and I just don't know. I have no chance of making plans. There's just no vision or hope or amount of wishing hard enough to try and plan or predict my own future. I'd rather be dead than have to try to think about where I'll be in 5 years. I escorted 4 years, including my junior and senior years of high school, to pay for college. So many times I would be at a friend's doing schoolwork, but I was with a client, or a few times I told them I was going out of town for the weekend as part of a school club trip, when I was actually being flown to different cities by much older men for the weekend. I even typed up a permission slip and everything, and I'm aware of how dangerous that was. I do not need a lecture. They think I took out student loans, and I'm still paying them off to this day. I was able to pay for all 4 years by the time I graduated. Terminal illness. Chances are I have less than 10 years, but it could be tomorrow. No cure, no chance of recovery. There may be a point before too long where I'm unable to hide it, but some of them are old, so might pass before that happens. I'm happy to keep it quiet for their peace of mind, as long as possible. Maintaining a relationship with them feels like a job. We weren't close when I was young, and now they want to be super close, maybe to make up for lost time. But I got used to being left alone, so now I prefer it that way. My almost ex-husband's mom introduced me to meth, and even though I hated it, I kept doing it because I worked 80-hour weeks trying to keep our family afloat during the pandemic. Husband wasn't working by choice. I hated myself so much, and I hated that I was doing it, but I loved being able to stay awake to do whatever was needing to be done. This went on for about a year. Eventually found out he was cheating on me for a long while, kicked him out, and got together with someone else. He unknowingly got me clean. I've been clean for about 14 months now, and it makes me sick to even type this out. The worst choices I've ever made, by far. Most days I feel like I don't know who I am. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression around 15 years old. I feel like I never got to develop a personality. I've never been able to hold down a job for more than a few months due to my mental health. Sometimes I feel okay, but most of the time I just feel like 3 mental illnesses in a trench coat trying to find my way through life. Might not be incredibly disturbing, but it's a secret. I've hated and doubted my family's religion for 5 years straight. I'm Mormon. Not gonna go into greater detail because I'm already getting paranoid just saying that. You are constantly worrying that one of your friends will tell your parents, or one of your teachers. I can't even tell half of my IRL friends because they are part of the church, and I can assure you they will tell somebody, and I'll be forced to go to some sort of faith class. Basically, Mormon rehab for people who doubt the church. And yes, I'm not even exaggerating. Look it up. I actually hate them and feel no love for them, but I feel obligated to be a good family member. Also, they would all probably kill each other without my good vibes to settle everyone down. I'm the middle child and kinda like Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. Was constantly bullied by every member of my family. I was the scapegoat. I was the problem. I was the issue. My stepmother is making my dad take antidepressants without him knowing. She lies about it and tells him it's cholesterol meds. She does this because she likes my dad better when he's on them, but he doesn't want to take them. Her and I are the only people that know. I've been contemplating about calling the cops on her. She brutally kicked me out the house about a month ago. She's a mischievous woman and will get me sued. I know I should report her, but I'm terrified, y'all. Family legend. My grandfather and grandmother fell in love at first sight and courted one another for years before getting married. Reality. They met when my grandfather was on a 2-day pass, fell in love at first sight, and were married by the end of the weekend. Both corroborated this story in separate private interviews I conducted when compiling family history. That I took my girlfriend to get an abortion. She wanted to keep it, but I was in a downward spiral in life, soaked in drug abuse. I couldn't even think about having a child in that moment, as I could barely take care of myself. She eventually agreed, but I know deep down that she wanted to keep it. We broke up a couple of weeks later after the abortion, as she couldn't even look at me anymore. It's been 5 years since then, and I still hate myself every single day because of it. I wonder what that child would have been like, and if I ever would have been able to take care of them. Also, the abortion clinic was under renovation at the time we arrived, so they moved the clinic into the maternity ward at the hospital. My girlfriend was taken away for the procedure, and I was left sitting in the waiting room holding back tears. A man sat down next to me and said, "I know it's scary, man, but it'll be the best moment of your life. My wife is in labor right now." Later on, the same man and his wife were being moved to another room, as she had just had her baby. My girlfriend had just come out at the same time and was under a heavy amount of pain medication. She saw the newborn baby and said they just had a baby and I just killed one. I hear that sentence every single day. I've kept a lot of secrets about my marriage to my late husband. I didn't tell anyone when he was alive about how he'd scream and curse at me, or that he was an alcoholic. After he died, I found mountains of evidence of his unfaithfulness, and I still didn't tell anyone. I could never figure out where all our money was going, and he would rage until I quit asking. Turns out it was going to escorts. I loved our marriage most days and had no idea about the infidelity until after he was gone. He was a good guy overall, even if tormented, and I don't want to taint the memories people hold of him. He's been gone for a few months now, and I haven't told my family that I'm dating again. I know they would understand if I told them about the reality of my marriage, but I feel too much loyalty to him to reveal the truth about him. That I really hate my dad. My mom was an alcoholic who drank herself to death close to 20 years ago. My dad pretty clearly never wanted the responsibility of raising kids. Have a half sister from his first marriage and has been remarried twice now. You could tell he never wanted to spend his free time with either me or my sister, who I also don't really get along with, and just wanted to be there on his convenience for the good times. He'd verbally chastise me for not being interested in doing the stuff he wanted me to be interested in, like sports. I had some emotional problems that kept me from doing well in school, and I'd get verbally abused for bad grades or anything that would cause him to have to take time to be a parent. I moved out at 19 and a lot of the stress in my life at the time disappeared because I didn't have to see him all the time. I started visiting less and less and noticed when I did come around all he did was complain about my sister or the current wife's kid being a drain on him. He wasn't ever really concerned about me anymore. We'd still get together a few times a year for holidays and stuff, but I'd find myself dreading visits because he'd always try to emotionally manipulate me, so I'd feel bad about not coming around more often. I tried to get a bit more involved with him after a few years, but he'd always have some excuse for why he couldn't spend time with me, even though he's retired and doesn't have much of a schedule anymore. My wife even got into a little argument with him via text last summer, and I found out from my sister that he thinks my wife and I are overreacting to what he said, even though it wasn't anything major. He's still yet to apologize to my wife, aside from a half-hearted text that I'm pretty sure my stepmother put him up to. I'm hopeful that the next time we move, when and if we can afford a house, I won't send him my new address and I can just sever ties completely. My sister used to kiss me with tongues and cuddle me weirdly, and now as an adult thinking back to that I realized that was super weird for her to do, since we are 13 years apart. At minimum she would have been 20 when that happened, and I would have been 7 at least. Nothing else happened, so maybe it was innocent stuff, but IDK, if I was 20 and made out with a 7-year-old sister I'd be in prison. I fantasize about murder constantly. I go to therapists and psychiatrists, started recently, but I have these thoughts ever since I was a kid. I have never killed any animals. I love them and could never, and I don't plan on killing anyone for the simple fact that I don't want to go to prison. I keep making violent drawings and I tell everyone it's just inspired on horror movies and games that I enjoy, but the truth is that I'm venting the daily images from inside my head. I have a normal life. Not many friends, but simply because I'm not interested in making any. I have a girlfriend whom I love very much, and my older brother that always makes me laugh, a job with some good people, and I'd go to college. But when I'm alone, at my head, I've killed everyone in the nastiest way ever.